Welcome back to Living with a Classic. I'm out here in my daily driver, 1975 Jaguar XJ6, and it's been 2 months, pretty much, 1 day plus or minus, but pretty much 2 months since I put the new engine back in her. And even though I haven't done that much driving, I want to give a little bit of an update of what those first months have been like. And if you've been following along, you know we've had a couple of issues. We've had the oil leak, which after I fixed that, it's been perfect. We got no other leaks coming from those banjo bolt fittings for the external oil feeds up to the camshaft. So that's all been good. It was running too hot. Put a new thermostat in it, and it's running great. No issues at all. It's at a rock steady good temperature, not too hot. Heater works really well and everything. So that has been fixed. But in this 2 months, sadly, I haven't really been driving that much. I'm still working from home. However, that might change a little bit in the future. And I've also been sick and isolating and things like that. So I haven't really been going anywhere. But whenever I've had the chance to take this car out, I have. That's why I'm going right now. I'm just going down to the post office and our grocery store to pick up a couple things. And why not take this car? Because I want to put as much miles, kilometers on it as possible now, just to make sure that everything sort of works well and is doing what it should, because I'm probably not going to be working from home forever. I think that in maybe a month or so I will be back at the office, and maybe I will use this car for the commute. I haven't really made up my mind about that yet. We'll get into that maybe a little bit later, but right now, it's maybe 4 or 5 degrees outside. It's a beautiful, nice and sunny day. It's quite windy though. But temperature is at the R of normal, so that's great. We are going along at about 50 kilometers an hour right now, 1500 RPMs, and we have 45 pounds of oil pressure, which is really good. This engine always goes up about 40 all the time. And when I'm idling as hot, it will go down to maybe 25 or so. But just as soon as you blip the throttle, even like above idle, it just shoots up straight to 40. So really happy with the engine. Of course, I want to fix a few cosmetic things onto the bonnet like we've talked about, but we'll do that later in the summer. Get the cam covers off, get them looking nice. I think one of the cam cover gaskets may be leaking a little bit, but just sort of ordinary things like that. But during these 2 months, I have just driven about 150 kilometers, which I know is pretty much nothing at all, but really every chance I've had, I've taken this car. I haven't been driving anything. My wife is the one who's been taking the kids back and forth to, or the kid back and forth to daycare, and whenever she's been out driving, doing errands, she's been doing errands at the same time, so that, we do live sort of in the middle of nowhere, which means we have to drive to get anywhere. We can't walk to any grocery stores or bike or anything like that. So we try to minimize having to go somewhere and drive. So whenever one of us is away, we try to do more than one errand at the time to sort of get that, if that makes any sense. So that's also why this car hasn't been doing much. But what it has been doing is working well, and I think that we really have brought it back to life with this engine, and I think it should last a long time. I'm about to pull into the post office here, picking up some parts for the XJS and some parts for my customer's Daimler. When we get back, we'll talk a little bit about general sort of plans now in the next month or so, what you see on the channel, both what's going to happen with this car and a couple of other cars as well. So stick around for that. Back from a few errands, did some grocery shopping as well. You may not know, but here in Sweden, we don't really have a postal office. They're all at grocery stores and gas stations and places like that. So when I say post office, I really meant the grocery store. Starts up nicely. Some lights on and head back. In a little bit of a hurry because I am just doing this on my lunch break, but it felt nice to leave the house a bit. That's one thing from working from home. I feel like you never leave the house, so it's nice to do a little bit of an errand at lunch, even though it can be a little bit stressful sometimes. Just turn the camera around so you guys can see the surroundings a little bit. It's nice and sunny today, but this has been a a really terrible winter, because last winter was a lot nicer when we actually had proper cold and proper snow. Now we do get snow every couple days, but it will melt away right away. So everything is just really, ground's just really soggy and terrible, and it's not at all fun around the farm at the moment. And also, cars keep getting really, really dirty. If it continues to be nice weather though for a couple days, I'll probably use one of my lunch breaks in the next coming days to clean up this car, because it hasn't had a proper wash actually since probably around Christmas. And even though I haven't driven that much, it really does deserve a nice cleanup. One thing I forgot to mention is we fixed the wipers a while ago. They've been working really well. However, last week they didn't want to park, and well, I haven't really looked into it because they do work. They're just still behind the windscreen when they're not working. But now they do park again. So I don't know, the car sat in the sun a bit and thawed out a bit. So maybe that helped, because when I got back in the car and just turned the ignition on, they did the whole parking thing and they're back. So I'm going to see, maybe it is something in the switch here around the steering column. But I'm not going to mess with anything right now, because this is the only thing I really have on the road at the moment. The Daimler is running fine, but it's on summer tires, and we still do get a little bit of ice and stuff on the road, so I don't recommend taking that thing out. Also, still don't really have any heater fans in that thing, so if you're not moving sufficiently fast, it is quite cold in the Daimler, so that's all things is going to get sorted. And you may be asking, well, what about the Saab? Well, the Saab has a major electrical issue, and I haven't really talked about it because I haven't really solved it yet. But it seems to be that Saab has these two devices. One of them is called DICE, and one of them is called TWICE, I believe. And the DICE controls a lot of weird things. So it controls wipers, it controls your indicators and everything. So there's no relays or anything in the car. It's all controlled by this little computer module. And I think mine is bad, because everything works on the car except the left indicators are always on. Not blinking, just shining. I first thought it was an issue with the trailer hitch, so the electric's back there, so I disconnected all of that. Did not help. So thankfully I have a friend who's really good with these Saabs, and said I'm a little bit lucky, because the early Saabs with this system, this is the first year that has that system, it doesn't have a connection to the chassis number. So on the later ones, you'd have to get a used part, you'd have to put it in a special Saab computer, input the chassis number that the thing came from, and then put the chassis number of the new part. So apparently I don't need to do that, I need to find the part. So I'm right now hunting eBay and everything to get one of those parts to exchange it out. If that does not really solve the issue, then I don't know, we may be looking for a new beater, because I just don't want to go into that many electrical things. I mean, if it's a wiring issue or something, I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to sell it and move on to something else. So that's why this is really the main car I'm driving at the moment, and I'm quite glad it is, because I love being behind the wheel of this thing. It does need a couple of things. Still have a little bit of a clunk up front and the left. It did get better with the greasing for a couple of days, and it went away, so I think we got to replace the ball joints. I do have new ones, so that's something we got to do. And still got to tidy up the interior and things like that, but at the moment I am enjoying this car very much. However, things are moving along with the XJS. So I think next week, or maybe the week after, it's going to go over to my friend the body man, who is going to fix the rust, and I don't really know how far we're going to go. I want him to at least do, all the rust, the floors and all that, replace them. But I'm not sure if we're going to, fix the bubbly things in the paint, some of the cracks in the spray filler, and repaint part of the car. I think I'm going to have him make his mind up about that when he has the car at his place, and we'll talk about that. But he's going to get that car. I'm going to get his XJS, fix that thing up, get that thing running, and then we'll swap back. However, when the XJS is gone from here, or my XJS, the XJ12, which I'm quite ashamed how much that car's been put to the side, but it's just, I have not looked forward to the job I have to do. I really don't like having to repeat a job I've done before. So we're gonna do the hoses in the back by the tanks. I do have a bunch of new old stock parts for the hard lines, and then I have new good soft lines. So we'll be doing all of that, fixing an exhaust leak, which is also one of my least favorite things to do. And then it needs new tires, and it should be on the road. So that's something I want to do when the XJS has moved away. I'll put the XJ12 in its spot, and we'll fix all of those things. And I think that's pretty much what's going to go on in the next couple months. So I hope to have the XJS driving. I hope to continue driving this. Maybe this will start doing my commute to work. I have no idea what's happening there, but I think that would be fun and interesting. And I have a feeling that there's so many things been sorted now, and I've been driving it. I will take it on longer trips before that, but it feels like it could do it. It does feel, at least in my opinion, it feels reliable. And plus, I think it would make for fun content, because then it would be a true daily driver that I drive every single day. And I think cars should be driven, especially classics. I think that's good for them. They do work better. And yes, things will break and stuff, but I think at the end of it, you'll have a good, reliable car. All right, so this turned into a bit of more of an update, but I think that was good, because sometimes you need a little bit of update things going on and my plans. So some of the next things you're going to see on the channel is we're going to remove the dash from the XJS, remove the headliner, so get the interior completely prepped. We are also going to see if we can get it to run a little bit better. That's some of the parts in there. It's a canister style oil filter, so I have a new one of those. I'm going to replace that, replace the oil, do a couple other things to see if it will run a tiny bit better before we start taking it apart. Anyways, I'm almost at my house, so hopefully you guys liked this video. If you did, give a thumbs up, share it with friends. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help out a lot. Until next time, I'm Adam. This was Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.